nobody has discipline if they just lived in a soft, cushy environment their whole life and never had to do anything hard.
Hello, and welcome aboard another episode of the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast. This is your captain speaking, Taylor Morgan. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different because I am not the one doing the interviewing. In fact, I'm the interviewee. I'm being interviewed by my friend and founder of Optimal Self, Jeremy Herider, a name and brand that should be familiar to you because I interviewed him on my podcast, and then we clicked so well as we're both peak performance coaches that he decided to interview me for his show. And it's always great when two peak performance coaches get together. There's a lot of knowledge being dropped. I may be biased, but his episode that I interviewed him was fantastic, and I highly recommend. If you guys like my podcast, you're absolutely going to like the Optimal Self podcast and everything that Jeremy's got going on. But I wanted to bring you this episode because I think it will be valuable for you guys to hear both sides, and if you guys are new to my podcast, to also hear a little bit of my story and my background and what the Captain's Lifestyle is all about. So without further ado, let's jump right into the show. Again, this is Jeremy Herider, founder of Optimal Self, interviewing me, Taylor Morgan.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Optimal Self Conversations. I'm your host, Jeremy Herider. We're here to talk to incredible people who, through adversity, grit, and persistence, are forging the path to being the best version of themselves, and they give you the tools to do the same. Today, I'm absolutely honored. Met this guy a few weeks ago, was honored to be on his podcast, and thought, man, oh man, the optimal selfers out there, the listeners out there, you have got to hear from this guy. So I am honored to have my man, Taylor Morgan, on from the Captain's Lifestyle. Man, Taylor, thank you for being here, brother.
Jeremy, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, man, let's not even waste any time, man, because your story and what you do is absolutely incredible. So let's get to it. Tell the listener, man, what is the Captain's Lifestyle? I know I know I've read several times where it says what happens in your life, you can either hold you back or become the fuel that drives you. It's all down to how you choose. So what is the Captain's Lifestyle, and how does that oppose? How can we help people today?
Yeah, so the Captain's Lifestyle is it's my signature lifestyle, I guess. I created it because, well, for a few reasons, but I was a CrossFit coach, and a lot of my clients would come up to me and say, "Hey, coach, I've been coming to the gym for so and so long now. Why am I not seeing the improvement that I thought I would?" And it's either because they plateaued or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, how are you sleeping? How is your nutrition? How is your stress? And the answer would always be the same. It's like, well, I'm lucky if I get 6.5, 7 hours. My diet is okay, which, as you know, anybody who says their diet is okay usually means that it's not great. And then they're stressed out from work, relationships, whatever. And they were coming into the gym expecting that to offset the other 23 hours of a bad lifestyle. And that's just not how things work. So, based on my past 8 years of research into this realm, I understood that you have to live holistically. Like, you can't have a good life. You can't perform at your peak level if you're not sleeping, if you're not eating well, if you're not exercising. You have to optimize all of those levels. And so that's kind of what the Captain's Lifestyle is all about, is taking control of your life and understanding that everything in your life is 100% in your control, not anybody else's. You don't let the news control your narrative. You don't let your friends, even your family. You are in control of what you want to do. And it's basically understanding that and then having the power to live in accordance with how you want to live, to design your dream lifestyle.
Damn. So well said, man. I could not agree more. So from your perspective now let's go into Taylor, the man. Like, this is forged, you, again, with Optimal Self, we call it being, becoming the best version of you. And, man, when I met you, dude, that's all I saw. I was like, man, this guy is optimized every aspect, including those of you guys that are listening to this and not getting the visual. his beard is unbelievable. So
Let me turn to the side.
like unreal, man. Like you have optimized. You are
I should have curled the mustache for
the
this.
curled mustache, man. It's the whole package, bro. I absolutely love it. But talk to us, man, about where was this born out of, man? Where does it come from to build you, like the man that we get to see and learn from today? Like, how did that get built?
Yeah, well, similar to your story, because we had a podcast earlier, it came through failure. I had to fail to understand the path forward. And so for me, my failures were, first, I failed the scout sniper screener when I was in the Marine Corps. So after high school, I joined the Marine Corps for 4 years, served as a machine gunner. Didn't like that. There was some leadership issues that I wanted to get away from. And I consider myself a high achiever. And the people who I was surrounded with and who I saw there with me were not peak performers. I joined the Marine Corps because I thought they were the best of the best. To me, that was not the case. And so I wanted to get to the next level. And then so when I saw a flyer for the sniper platoon tryouts, I was like, that's it. That sounds like what I need. So me and a couple buddies did that together, started with like 50 some odd people. It was a week long, so Monday through Friday, of basically torture, mental and physical torture. No more than 4 hours of sleep per night, minimal food, just constant physical and mental challenges. You're moving all day. You're having to do mind games, create missions, all that type of stuff. And people are just dropping day after day. The people who are left is getting smaller and smaller. The last day, I think it was only 11 people, including myself, who made it to the end. And I was the only one of them who did not make the platoon. And that, I'm going to be honest, that crushed me, because I just went through a week of hell, both mental and physical. I was destroyed. And just the feeling of accomplishment from achieving that was great. But then to come to find out that all of my best friends had made it, I was the only person out of everybody who made it to the end that did not. And the reason that they gave me was that I didn't work well with others, that I was too focused on myself. And at the time, I did not agree. But now looking back, I can see where they were coming from. I was too focused on myself getting through the mental and physical challenges. Whereas I could have helped those around me. And, I did. This kid passed out. I had to carry him the rest of the way. And there were things that I did, but in their eyes, I wasn't doing enough. And especially in a platoon, where it's a life or death situation, you have to be working together. If you're focused on yourself, you're going to die. So they were absolutely right in not accepting me. But what I learned from that was, it's not about me. Nobody gives a shit about Taylor. I have to help others succeed. And so that was my first failure. Second failure was I broke my ankle in the Marine Corps while drunk, very drunk, just doing stupid stuff. We won't get into that whole story here unless you want to. It's kind of funny. But what I learned from that is I didn't want to keep going down that path. I was not optimizing my days. I didn't want to keep drinking and just playing video games all day. And it was only a few days before my second deployment that happened. So I didn't get to go on deployment with my brothers. And that also crushed me. I was like, Taylor, like, you can't keep doing this. And so I quit drinking for 2 years, just completely cut it off. And I started diving deep into the world of everything personal development, listening to podcasts, reading books, which I had always despised. I never even read a book up until this point. So that was a big change. And then just really starting to understand how everything ties into living a good life. I became a CrossFit coach, started coaching CrossFit. And then long story short, come to my third failure, I guess it is. I took a job as the head coach of the biggest CrossFit gym in Saudi Arabia. I turned down a position in the Cayman Islands, beautiful place, because they paid me less money. So I took the higher paying job in a place that I knew that I was not going to like. The desert is not my place. And because my mindset at the time was I just served 4 years in the Marine Corps, hating life for little pay. I can get paid a lot to hate my life for 2 years. Turns out that's not the case. I found out very quickly that I don't give two shits about money if I'm not happy. And it's just because the lifestyle there, and I'm speaking generally, of course, there's some outliers, but in general, the lifestyle in Saudi Arabia is the complete opposite of how I want to live my life. Just complete and total disregard for their own personal health and also the environment. Multiple occasions I saw people just flicking their cigarette butts out on the street. So obviously they don't care about themselves. They're smoking. They don't care about the environment. There's litter, dumpsters overflowing with crap, stray cats, dead in the streets. Stay up till 3 a.m. drinking coffee, just not healthy. And then they're super stressed out from their jobs. A lot of them don't like their jobs. They just do it because they get paid a lot. And it's unfortunate. So you can see it's not a good combination. And that was kind of like the straw that broke my back. So there was also some problems with the gym. They wouldn't let me do my job as head coach. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to just keep the title of head coach and please you guys. I'm not going to go against my core values. So I decided to stop that, to create my own thing, work for myself, and make more of an impact. And because I wasn't making as big of an impact as I could there, they just wanted these little tips and tricks on working out. And I was like, it's more than that. You got to optimize your sleep in order to feel good to come into the gym. And in order to recover, you have to fuel your body properly and all these things. So all of those things kind of led me to what I do today and the captain's lifestyle. So I'll stop talking now.
No. That's good. Because I want people to understand is, all of us on this journey, right? With Optimal Self and the people that listen now, the people that we have, it's hard to becoming the best version of you. And it's not Taylor's version or Jeremy's version, right? This is truly about finding the best version of you. And it takes failure. It takes learning, right? You've said that several in everything that you just said right now. Something that I love that's dear to me is that, and I believe this, and I'd like for you to expand on it a bit is in those learning processes that, people think, and we're told a lot of times like, oh, it's all comes down to hard work. And it does. But I say it this way, success comes if you're willing to learn. And sometimes learning is meaning stepping into an opportunity like you did and failing. And literally failing, man. I can't even imagine what that moment is like. 11 guys left, the week, how hard I go through it, and 10 go on and I don't. Right? Like, so can you give us a little bit more insight to what is that internal narrative? How did you get through that moment, watching those dudes go on? And now you've got to not only pick up the pieces, but hey, bud, you're still in the Marine Corps and you got to fight for these next band of brothers, right?
Yeah.
Talk us through a little bit of that. Again, how did you, what did you say to yourself? How did you get yourself through that?
Yeah, that was tough. And it took a while. I'm telling you what I learned from it. This is only years after the fact.
Sure.
At the time, I was very bitter. I was upset. I did not want to go back to my old platoon. Like I said, I tried out for that because I wanted to take a step up. I wanted to experience better leadership. And I'm just trying to think back of what got me through that. It took a while. After that happened, I kind of continued going down that same path of just being bitter, I guess is a good way to describe it. Just waking up and not being happy with my situation or where I was, and still trying to think of ways to get out of it. It wasn't till a while later when I, had sat down, had conversations with some of the guys, and they're like, yeah, man, you were too focused on yourself. Like, that's really all it is. And I still didn't want to believe it. I was like, that's fucking bullshit. Like, I carried this guy. He was passed out. He couldn't, just making excuses. And so I think part of what allowed me to accept that was just going down this path of personal development and understanding that, things happen for a reason, and you only fail if you don't learn anything from the experience.
Right.
So I guess at one point I just decided to stop playing the victim and blaming them for not letting me in, and just accept the fact that I was not good enough, which is a blow to your ego for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it took me so long, because I had a huge ego in the Marine Corps, very big. And I obviously didn't want to accept that, but I kept learning about personal development and stoicism and all these things. And it's like, okay, well, I could either continue to let this affect me, or I can learn from it and move on. And I guess I came to the realization that you only suffer if you let yourself continue suffering. If you learn from it and move on, things can get better and you can start to improve. So I think that's what it was, but it was definitely not an in the moment or close to the moment realization.
So yeah, which is incredible. And I know the people listening, people have been in similar situations, and it's literally putting ourselves into the prison we don't even know we're in, because we're holding on to, it's their fault. Why didn't they pick me? Right. I mean, my story, I've been through that as well, is that, why didn't you pick me? Well, you weren't good enough. Yep. Right. It's like, and again, what they were saying to you in that moment is, you weren't the right fit for this. Not that you wouldn't ever be, if that really truly was your lot in life, right? Is to like, no, I'm going to come back and I'm going to get back on that platoon. I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to show them that, yeah, man, I am, which is really interesting because, and I want the listener to understand is that failure, that holding on to ego, that moment of understanding that it's about helping others, it's not just about me. I mean, and now I look at your business in life and what you do today for people, and that's 100% what you actually do, right? Yeah. And so that lesson is not only learned, but that wasn't the impact you were meant to leave. It wasn't for you to be on that sniper team and all those things. I mean, in my estimation, knowing you now is putting you in the position that you are today. And so, I want people to really get a good sense of who you are today. And you shared this before, and I've heard you talk about it several times, doing research and getting to know you. And it's the Rite of Passage. And man, the way you explain it and talk about it is so beautiful. So give it to the listener, man. Like what exactly is Rite of Passage? Where does it come from, and how does it impact our lives?
Yeah. So Rite of Passage is, I think, one of the major aspects of modern society that is missing. And I think this is causing a lot of issues. But to answer your question first, a Rite of Passage is basically something that, once you accomplish this, then you get the title of this. For example, the Marine Corps, the one that I went through. Once you pass boot camp, you go through the crucible, is what it's called, the last part. You get handed your Eagle Globe and Anchor, they pin it on, and you're now officially a Marine. That's the Marine Corps' Rite of Passage. It used to be in society, in tribes and everything like that. Another example, to become a man, some tribes would have to go out, when they're 13, 14, whatever it is, go out on a hunt, kill an animal, skin it, carry it back to the camp. There's a celebration, whatever it is. Then, okay, you're now a man. In today's society, there's really nothing. There's no challenge that you have to overcome. School is made so easy for you. Everybody passes, 8th place trophies, like everything's fine. Like you're successful even if you fail. Like it's okay. Just society has gotten so soft, and nobody likes going through challenges anymore. Even something as basic as a cold shower. 99% of people are deathly afraid to get in the cold shower just because it's uncomfortable. There's no danger from it. You're just going to have a minute of uncomfortability, if that's even a word. But
yeah.
I think people need to go through some type of challenge, whether that's, a Spartan race, the competition of any sort, like a real competition where there's winners and losers. Not everybody is a winner. Let me clarify that if you give 100% of your best effort and you still, get second place, third place, whatever it is, then that is a win for you. But that doesn't mean that you won the competition. There's a difference there. You can give your best effort and you win in your book, but you still shouldn't really get a trophy for that, in my opinion. So that's what Rite of Passage is, and that's why it's so important, I believe.
Yeah, man. I love it, man. I know that, again, I can't agree more, man, is that we get soft, is because we're so, easily influenced, and we believe that everybody, again, should get a trophy. And man, I'm right there with you, man. That's not the problem with that is that's not how life works. Right. No. And then we try to make that into life. And that's it just doesn't work. So,
well, then you grow up thinking that you're entitled to everything.
Right.
But there's somebody better that's qualified and they get the job. And you're like, well, wait, I'm worthy, like, yes, you are, but you were not good enough to achieve this. Like, and yeah, that's a big issue.
It is. And I love it because it's again, when we talk about the art of becoming the best version of you, when you talk about the captain's lifestyle, and it's about becoming the captain of your life, not mine, not the way I do it, not the way Taylor, like how we can actually, and you said it in the opening, and I want you to expand on this a little bit too, because I hope people didn't miss it, is that you said you are in control. We say it all the time in art, control the controllables. Mm-hmm. Can you expand on that a little bit? Because I know you and I are in 100% agreement. The number one peak performance drug on earth is sleep. Like there is no better performance enhancing drug than sleep, right?
And it's free.
And it's free, right? But so just expand a little bit more on and give people what that it means. Like control the controllables. You're in control.
Yeah, I wish I could reach back here, but my headset's attached to draw on the whiteboard. But
yeah,
in my program, I give my clients an exercise to do, and it's called the Circle of Concern exercise. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not. Bring it to us.
So I really wish I could draw this, but I'll just kind of use my hands. So you have 3 circles. You have the circle of concern, which is the biggest circle, and that's everything that you're possibly concerned about. Your dog is sick, whatever you saw in the news, somebody tweeted a negative thing at you, your boss yelled at you at work, your car needs to be fixed, whatever, anything that you're concerned about goes in that circle. Then inside of that, you draw a medium-sized circle, and that is your circle of influence. Those are the things that you have some form of influence over. So, for example, other people. You cannot directly control another person, but based on your communication skills and how you talk with them, you can have some form of influence, right? So that's why they're called influencers, because they influence people's actions. So certain things in that list in your circle of control will be able to potentially be influenced by you based on, how you play your cards. And then the smaller innermost circle is the circle of control. These are the things that you personally can directly control. You can directly control the outcome of these situations. So out of the list that I mentioned, your car needs to be fixed. You have direct control over that. You can take it to the shop, get it fixed, whatever. The thing that you saw in the news that pissed you off, you have zero control over that whatsoever. So you should not be focusing any of your attention or energy on that thing because you can't control it. Maybe if you're a politician, you might be able to have some form of influence around it, but it doesn't go in your circle of control. And so what I teach my clients is to only focus on the things that are in that circle of control, because if you waste your time putting all your time and energy on everything that you're concerned about, you're going to be so stressed out and you're going to be angry because you can't control those things. Traffic is another really good example. Yeah, a lot of people get angry at traffic, but can you do anything about it? Maybe. Leave earlier, maybe plan to leave earlier, find an alternative route. But if you tried those things and it still doesn't work, then relax, because in the moment, there's nothing you can do. So might as well enjoy it, put on a podcast, learn something new, meditate, whatever. So it's about switching your mindset into everything that you can't control to only focusing on what you can.
Very, very. So go through those three again. Circle of concern, circle
Circle
of
of concern, big
is the
one.
big, yeah,
The circle of influence, and then
influence,
the
right?
circle of control.
Okay. And so what we're trying, and so the people at home, people listening, is we've got to fill this out and understand what is of concern, what is of influence, and then but what is truly of control,
Yep.
right? And then as we get through this, again, let people see if we can focus more often on what we can actually control, we start to eliminate a lot of some of the stresses and anxieties that we put on that we take on, right? Like, again, I love the traffic analogy because it's so true. Is how many times do you get in and get cut off, or you're in a hurry, right? And that's one of those things, right? Is like, oh my goodness, I didn't account for it. It usually takes me 20 minutes to get there. And I jump on the freeway and it's backed up. And now that 20 just turned to 40 and I'm late. And we go, that damn traffic. It's all traffic's fault. This stupid thing, right? Those of you guys that live in, I'm in Southern California, man. The
LA,
the 405 is because, they call it the 405 is because you either go 4 or 5 miles an hour on it. Right?
That's good, yeah.
But we don't look at ourselves. We don't go back in to say, I can't control the traffic, but I can control leaving earlier. Like, that's an amazing, imagine that reframe and what that does for people. Yeah. Man, that's so strong. Man.
Are you familiar with this book?
I am.
Viktor Frankl.
Yeah, but please give our listeners the book he just held up was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
So yeah, give us some insight, man. Talk to us about how it's influenced you and how you use it today.
Yeah, well, full disclaimer, I haven't read the whole thing. I'm just getting started in it, but I understand the basic premise behind it. I've heard it so many times. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor, and he was a psychologist or a psychiatrist, one of those, and he was able to find meaning and find the positive side of literally the worst possible human experience. So I don't want to give too much away from the book, but if you're sitting in traffic and you get so upset that you're sitting in traffic, it's just all about perspective, right? Like, sitting in traffic, one, there's nothing you can do about it, and except leave early, whatever. But in the moment you're in traffic, there's nothing you can do. So you can either react or respond one of two ways. One, you can do your normal response of getting angry and cursing and flipping off the drivers, whatever, and then just getting really stressed out. And then you get to work or home from work. The real problem is when you get home from work and then you bring it to your family, all that stuff. Or you could realize that you don't have control of the situation and to make the best of it. Like I mentioned, putting on a podcast, meditating, doing breathing exercises, something like that. Because the major premise of the book is between stimulus and response is man's greatest power, the freedom to choose. So you can choose how you feel. You can't pick and choose every single situation, right, but you can choose how you respond to those situations. And that once you truly understand that, really nothing's going to affect you the way that it used to, because you can control the thoughts in your head.
Oh my God. Wow. So that is the superpower for humans, right? The power to choose. And we give up our superpower so much because we let the circumstance, right? The circumstance or situation dictate how we feel, as opposed to using our superpower, which is I get to choose how I feel. Yeah, man, that is so powerful.
Yo, Taylor here. So I'm sure you've heard me harp on sleep and basically every single podcast and video that I put out, because it truly is that important. And I'm excited to announce that I've created something very simple and very tactical that you guys can use to start improving your sleep immediately. In fact, it is the fastest way to improve the quality of your sleep and therefore the quality of your life, with amazing results after just one single night of implementation. Seriously, this is the same nightly ritual that I personally use, and it's the same strategy that I teach all of my high-performing clients in the Captain's Lifestyle program. It's the 4-3-2-1-30 method, and I'm giving it away to you guys for free. All you have to do is follow the link in my Instagram bio or in the show notes of this podcast, and I'll send it over so you can start sleeping better tonight. But please do not sleep on this offer. It's literally free, so no excuses. Go do it, and sweet dreams.
Real quick, another really good example of that is notifications. So if you get notifications on your phone, text messages, calls, emails, social media, whatever, and you instantly react to that, like you hear the ding, you got to check your phone, you get a phone call, even if you're in a conversation with your daughter, your son, you have to go to the phone call, like the example you gave on my podcast with the movie.
Yeah.
If you have to go divert your attention to this other thing, you're not living your life. You're letting other people live your life for you because they're pulling your attention to what they want. So you're letting other people's priorities or problems, OPP, I like to call it, you're letting that run your life. So they're basically using you to get what they want, as opposed to you living your life in accordance with what you want.
Yeah, man. Well said. And we teach people how to treat us, right? And so if you're running to it all the time, I don't even have notifications. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
I don't have them on my phone, not for anything.
No.
So I don't get text message. I don't get a notification, text message, none of it anymore. I mean, the apps that we use, none of it. I have to actually physically go to it, to make it happen. And I think so if the listener is out there and you want some actionable items from what Taylor's given us right this second, that's it.
Turn off
schedule it in, turn off the notifications and schedule it. It's not that I don't answer every email. It's not that I don't answer every text message, but it has a time and a place in my day and in my life. And so, again, on the becoming the best version of you, you know what I mean? Like for us, these people that are out there that are the optimal selfers that, okay, you want to be your optimal self? Well, let's get in control of how you control your day. And what Taylor said earlier, right? Let's really get into that circle of control and what's in there. And that's where my focus is. So it's really beautiful. I want to transition a little bit because you going through the Marine Corps, getting into being the CrossFit coach, now building your own company of coaching, teaching. So one of the questions I have for you in regards to that, everything that you just exposed us to, is how do you feel about mentors, coaches, teachers, role models? And then I want you to elaborate a little bit. Who were yours, right? Because nobody succeeds alone. Nobody. No. You don't get where you are without somebody else feeding you. That's why we're here right now having this conversation. And you and I are together is because somebody has given us something that it's our duty and to give back. So how do you feel about mentors, role models, coaches, whatever that word is you want to use? And then who are yours?
Yeah. Well, it seems like you already know my answer, because some form of mentor or coach, I believe, is required to be a high performer or high achiever in today's society. You just have to, because especially in entrepreneurship, it's all about speed of implementation. So you could absolutely try to learn these things on your own, but by the time you do, you're going to be so far behind everybody else that it's not going to matter. So coaching and mentorship is one about speed of implementation, about, somebody else has already solved the problem that you're experiencing. So hire them to teach it to you. So you don't have to spend the time, stress, energy to figure it out yourself. And then also number two is it improves you. Like it makes you better, faster, become the best version of you faster than you could on your own. And I think my client summed it up very well. He just finished up the Captain's Lifestyle program, and he now realizes, like, it doesn't, like, whatever area of your life you're struggling in, you should have some form of coaching or mentor in that area. He realized that it's now a requirement. He understands the benefit. He went through my course. He's like, well, now that we're done, It doesn't mean that it's done. Like I still need to continue down this journey, and it could be in business, it could be in health, nutrition, exercise. That's why in my personal program, I don't give my clients specific exercises, because everybody's going to have access to different gyms. I recommend they go to CrossFit, would be the best, and get, a good CrossFit coach to help them. But even if they just have access to a 24-hour gym, I recommend they get a personal trainer, because I was a personal trainer. I understand the benefit of in-person coaching. Same thing with business. If you're starting a business and you don't have a business coach, what are you doing? So yeah, then to answer your second question, who are some of mine? Mentors were Ben Greenfield. He's got a podcast, Ben Greenfield Fitness. What is the name of his podcast? I don't know, but just search Ben Greenfield, very famous biohacker, athlete, author. Yep. So I would say him primarily now. Originally, the person who really got me going down this journey of self-optimization was Ben Bergeron, who I know you're obviously familiar with. I dove super deep into everything that he teaches in his podcast. I have probably listened to all of his podcasts like 3 times. Got his book, read that. It was amazing. Met him in person, did one of his seminars. And what he taught me was specifically around mindset. It was a lot of this, that I'm talking about now, about how it's up to you. You control how you spend your days, how you spend your time. It's not, don't give excuses. Nobody else's fault but yours. So he was number one who kind of got me down this path. And then, from there, it's like I mentioned, Ben Greenfield, Aubrey Marcus, Tim Ferriss, all the big names. And then specific to my coaching program, I had a lot of the holistic lifestyle knowledge, but I didn't know how to put it into a program and make a business out of it. Mm-hmm. So I hired multiple business coaches. I did 2 programs at the very beginning of my journey. And then I currently have a business coach, and all of these investments cost multiple thousands of dollars. They're not, cheap investments. And that's part of what I tell my clients. Like, if you're investing in yourself, you shouldn't think of that as an expense. I released a podcast a few months ago that gives a formula for buying decisions. So step 1, first you have to figure out your goals. So what is it that you want? What do you want to achieve, accomplish, all that stuff? Once you have that in mind, come up with what obstacles or problems are standing in the way of you accomplishing those goals, or what's holding you back from achieving those faster. Once you have the list of your goals, the list of your problems, then once you're faced with a buying decision, instead of thinking about the monetary cost of it, think, okay, what is this? What problem does this product or service solve? And then think of, okay, what is having that problem solved worth to me? Not monetarily, but think of how much time, energy, stress it's going to save you. Once you know that answer, the money shouldn't really matter, because if it gets you to your goal faster, it doesn't really matter the cost of it, because it's the value of it that you're going to get from it will be worth the cost. So it doesn't matter if thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars. If it solves a problem that you need to be solved to move you closer to your goals, you just buy it. It's an investment in you. It's not. It shouldn't be thought of as an expense.
100%, man. We talk about this all the time. People look at things as a cost. It's like, oh my gosh, that's going to cost $10,000. Like, oh, it's going to cost 15, 20. I mean,
what are you getting from that $10,000?
But hold on. Here's the thing is you're right. But what people are missing is they look at it as of a cost because they don't believe in themselves. If you look at it as an investment in you, man, like that's a whole different way. And now I'm not looking about, hey, what am I going to get from this? I look at it, it's an investment in me. And it says, what am I going to give to this? How much am I going to listen? How much am I going to pay attention? You've taken your program. How much of it am I going to follow, right? Am I going to do the homework? Am I going to do what's necessary to get the benefit? Because that's why people don't do it. Not because it's not a cost at all. It's because they might think of it as a cost. They're looking at a dollar figure, but what they're really missing is the investment in themselves. And what they're really saying is, hey, I'm not good enough. Hey, I'm not worthy. Hey, I'm not worth that investment. And you and I both know, man, that we've got to reframe that mindset. We've got to help people reframe that.
Yeah. And that's what I was just going to say. I think it comes down to self-limiting beliefs. Because I'll be fully transparent. I've had clients or potential clients on the phone, everything is going great. They get to the end. They're like, oh, that's too expensive. I can't pay that. And I'm like, okay, well, how much is a lifetime of health and happiness worth to you?
Right.
And they're kind of like dumbfounded. They're like, I didn't think of that. It's like, because their self-limiting beliefs are holding them back. They are so focused on the dollar cost of it instead of seeing the long-term value. And my program, I'm sure your program too, is scheduled so you don't have to continue this coaching for the rest of your life. I am sure you teach principles that are just, that should remain similar throughout your entire life. And then once you learn them for life. It's not like you have to continue paying thousands of dollars. You will have to continue paying thousands of dollars if you don't learn these lifestyle habits. And then you end up in the hospital with a chronic disease 10 years down the road.
Right.
So it's all about how you think.
Yeah, it's about building the habits that are going to get you the life that you want, right? That's what it comes down to. I mean, because clearly the habits that you have today or that we have today, right? We've got to constantly be working at it. I'm not done. The best is yet to come, man. It's a work in progress.
Yeah. And for me personally, I've signed up for free courses. I've signed up for paid courses. And I'll tell you what, I've by far get the most value out of the courses that cost me the most, because I spent that much money. I'm like, fuck, I need to squeeze every last drop of value out of this because it's a lot of money. And so I'm going to make damn sure that I'm paying attention, taking notes, getting the most out of it. Whereas a free course, yeah, you might pick up a tip or trick or two, but you're not invested. You're not bought in to the results.
Right. So talk about, for most people, because again, it comes down, we talk a lot about belief, right? Belief in ourselves, belief, are we worthy? Belief, do we believe the plan will work, right? And just like you said, you take people through this journey and it's like, yeah, do you believe in the plan? And they're like, yeah. And then the question is, do you believe in you? And they go, you know what I mean? It stops people. So how can we help the people listening today? Is there anything that you do in your life? How do you implement what you hear? How do you implement the things that you want in your life?
Me personally?
Yeah. How do you get through those things? Implementation is the key, man. Like we can know, again, we can know everything, right? The trick is not about knowing. You can master the knowing side, but you'll never have success until you master the behavioral side.
Yeah.
Right. And so, or at least take the side of mastering behavior. You got to change something you do. Is there something that you teach or do that these people could take away from today that are listening?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I say the exact same thing. Information is not the problem. You can search whatever you want for free. It's in a podcast. It's in a book. It's somewhere. Your lack of information is not the problem. It's the accountability, just like you said. So for me personally, I am not perfect at this. I don't think anybody will ever be perfect. Right. But I think I'm a little bit different. And I think what works for me is not what I would necessarily recommend to somebody else. I have always, maybe not always, but once I set my mind on something, I just do it. Like when I broke my ankle drinking, I was like, okay, I'm done drinking. Even though I was technically probably an alcoholic, I gave it up. I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. And a lot of people, like to maybe wean off it, slowly decrease. For me, it's just, you do it or you don't. And so for me, if I commit to doing something, I'm going to do it. But a lot of people that doesn't work for, because I don't really know why. It's got something to do with their upbringing, their past, their self-limiting beliefs. And so the recommendations that I would give to other people is find some form of accountability, whether that's you tell your friend what you want to do, and then every night you guys check in with each other. The common example is a gym buddy. If you want to start going to the gym and you've been a couch potato for the past year, it's going to be very difficult for you to get up and go to the gym every single day, like you said. But if you get a friend, if you recruit somebody to go with you, and they show up to the gym at 5 a.m., you're going to want to make sure that you don't let them down. So,
Right.
and that works for me too. Like, I would rather let myself down than let somebody else down. If somebody else is counting on me for something, you better be damn sure that I'm going to come through, because I would not want to ruin that relationship.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend, is finding some form of accountability.
I love it. I love it. That's such a great, I mean, I hope people understand that is, again, just like we talked about, you can't do it alone. You need mentors, you need those. And even the people that you said, it's not like those people are coming to your house and teaching you. It's like, no, I'm seeking them out and I'm finding things, podcasts, books, right? It's all there for you. And then again, accountability, one of the things that we always say here is that, the moment you take responsibility for everything in your life, you unlock the power, your personal power, to have anything in your life. And so you said it very well right there, is look, you figure out what you want. You made a very good, and Michael Jordan said this very, very famously. What you just said is, he's like, once I made a decision, I never thought about it again. And that is a powerful, powerful place to be. See, most people don't make the decision. They think they do, but even they're at like 98%, 99%. Yeah, but guess
that's what I should have said.
The 1%.
Make the decision.
Yes, you have to, right?
It's because once you make the decision, everything becomes easier. It's either a yes or a no. If you're in your head about it, maybe I'll go to the gym, maybe I'll go tomorrow, just decide. If you don't want to go to the gym today, fine, don't go to the gym today. But then don't beat yourself up that you didn't go. Make the decision, be okay with it, and then commit to going tomorrow.
Yeah.
And this is another reason why I'm so, I guess I think about, I'm stingy with my promises, because if I promise something, that's like, it's going to happen. So, back when I was growing up, people would say, "Oh yeah, do you promise?" It's, just being cute or funny. Like a girl would say, "Oh yeah, do you promise?" As no, like I can't promise that. I'm not going to promise that, because I don't have control over the outcome. And so, I was the weird kid who's, like that. But I really believe that if you say you're going to do something, you should do it.
That's so good, man. It reminds me of something Steve Jobs said, is that, he was when they were at Apple, like, he was more proud, not of the products that they produced. He was more proud of the things they said no to, because every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to other things. And so determining what you say yes to, just like you said there in the way, determining what I promise, I also have to be very stingy with what I say yes to. And I hope people heard that, man. Tay, that was amazing, because here's what it is that the things that you say yes to, you're saying no to other things. But again, when I make a decision, it makes saying yes or no to whatever comes at me very easy, because I just go, wait, is it in alignment with that goal? Wait, I want to be 6% body fat and I want to stand on a stage, you know what I mean? And win this competition. Okay, well then, will that Oreo cookie get me closer or farther away from that goal? Right? It's real easy to make that decision at that point, if that's your true goal. You see, most people don't make that my true goal. They go, yeah, I kind of want to step on that stage. It'd be fun to do that. Bullshit. Don't even say that, because you haven't made a decision. So now when that Oreo shows up, you're going to be like, oh no, that's way more important. Right? Yeah. And I say that in easy things like that, right? That's an easy way. But I hope every listener out there pay attention to this one, is that's happening every day in your life. And it's keeping you from the best version of you. It's keeping you from living your captain's lifestyle. And man, that's just, yeah, man, powerful stuff, dude. I love it. I love it. I want to get some quick hitters with you. And these are just two words. And I just want, when you hear them, what comes to mind, right? We call them the quick hitters, this part of the show, this part of the conversation. And so this quick hitter, the word is discipline. What comes to mind when you hear that?
Jocko Willink. Discipline equals freedom.
Well said.
Yeah, are
Go
these
ahead.
short answers just like?
No, I love it. Keep going, please. Keep going with that.
Yeah. Going back to what we just finished talking about, like if you're going to say something, do it. And that requires discipline. And I think in order to have discipline, going back to the rite of passage, you have to put yourself through challenging situations. Nobody has discipline if they just lived in a soft, cushy environment their whole life and never had to do anything hard. That's why, you know, all these rich people who inherited their money, you know, the kids of billionaires, for example, if they didn't teach them well, they go through something minuscule that you and I wouldn't even bat an eye at. And it's like the end of the world for them because they had never been through a tougher situation than that. And they don't have the discipline to get through it. So yeah, for me, discipline, just like Jocko Willink's, you know, catchphrase is discipline equals freedom. The more discipline you have with anything, with your diet, the more disciplined you are with your diet, the better you'll feel, the better you'll look. The more disciplined you are with your sleep, same thing. The better you'll feel, the better you'll look. Everything comes down to first doing it, so the discipline, and then consistency, doing it time and time again.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. All right. Our last word of quick hitters is impact. How does that hit you? What comes to mind?
Impact, I think Tom Bilyeu, with his company Impact Theory. But why? So he's another one of my mentors, and I resonate with him because he's trying to change the world. He's trying to make a positive impact. And that's one of the big reasons why I created the Captain's Lifestyle and why I work with social entrepreneurs is because I believe that in order to be truly happy and fulfilled and live a successful life is by creating some form of positive impact, whether that's in your community, with, you know, strangers like we're doing, you know, meeting people, helping them get better, whether that's improving the environment, making some form of positive impact is required for a healthy, happy, fulfilling life. If you are in business for yourself, I don't think you can be happy. If you're not giving back in some way, shape, or form, you're missing the point of life.
Man, I love it. I couldn't agree more, man. It's everything. It really is. I mean, just you and I having this conversation, man, it's going to live hopefully forever. And, you know, hopefully somebody sums upon it and they get some value from it, you know, they can take it with them. So if people want to get a hold of you and they need some Captain's Lifestyle in their life, man, how do people go about getting a hold of you, Tay?
Yeah, it's just the Captain's Lifestyle. Search it. Got a podcast, website, social medias, all that stuff. Probably most active on Instagram. So at the Captain's Lifestyle on Instagram. But, you know, if you want to get in touch with me personally and you have, you know, or for sure, I'll see it. Taylor at thecaptainslifestyle.com is my email.
Perfect. And we'll put that all in the show notes and get that out to everybody. So, man, dude, thank you so much. Again, discipline equals freedom. I mean, I love your rite of passage. Man, the impact that you're having on the world, bro, is second to none, man. Keep it going. I'm honored that we got to share this time for you and that our listeners got to hear from you, man. Your story is incredible, but what's more incredible is what you're doing to give back and bring people up. So, man, appreciate it, dude. Thank you for being here. Thanks for coming on. I look forward to many, many more conversations.
100%. Yeah, this
Cool.
is going to be a continued relationship for sure. And thank you again for having me.
Yeah, dude. All right, man. Thanks, guys. Give it a listen. Again, everything will be in the show notes, man. Get out. If you need more of the Captain's Lifestyle, make sure you reach out to Taylor. And again, this thing will be live on YouTube as well. So if you're catching on YouTube, leave us some comments and let us know what you think. Other than that, man, until next time, get out there and be the best version of you.